Alright, hello everyone. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the drama of the opposites today on the alchemical, kind of psychological Carl Jung thing that I'm doing. So, here we go. Okay, so the drama of the opposites occur any time that you love or hate something. Just as electricity flows between positive and negative, love and hate are just like electricity in that way, in which they keep the motor of the psyche running. Now, when going into this, just because I'm like, oh man, I I already hate that. I already know that. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're undergoing this process of the opposites. Okay, so just by accepting and rejecting things does not like constitute consciousness. You know. So what consciousness requires a is an experience of the opposites and acceptance of that experience. The greater the degree of acceptance, the greater the consciousness. So in other words, you have to explore both sides. Why is it that I love this and I hate that if I haven't experienced it, if I haven't researched it fully, kind of undergone the process. And I do think that even in today, a lot of individuals kind of have an issue with that, especially when it comes to terms of society as a whole. It seems like we're at a point where it's kind of like, oh well, this person said that, so I just automatically hate it, or kind of acting like society is going through like a childlike ego state again. It's like we were complex into exploring things, and now there's so much negativity that we're just kind of like, no, that's just bad. That's just bad. Let's not explore it. The things that I like and don't like, and even the things that I don't like, I've learned to accept in others, but it's just not for me. Just because I didn't find that it worked for me doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to work for you. There's always different sides to everything, and there's different situations that fit different people. We're all different. There's not one solution. There's not one set defined way, this is right and this is the only way that's right. No. Life doesn't work that way. But that's why we have disagreements and people doing things differently, because different situations fit different needs. And as you go on through life, hopefully you figure that out. But let's go back to what I was talking about before. Okay. So I know the last time I brought up Gab, Nut, and Chew, I didn't really go into depth as I wanted to. So I'm kind of redoing that part. So maybe to put this more in a different context, a different terms in a way. So, you got Gab, Nut, and Chew. Okay. The opposites exist because of the space that the ego created for the opposites. So the opposites necessarily do not exist at all. The only reason why they exist is because of this experience. And then it's an experience that nonetheless your ego created. Nut is a sky goddess, according to the Egyptians. Gab is the earth god, according to the Egyptians. And Gab and Nut were together and then Shu got between them and pushed them apart. And this is what, according to the Egyptians, created, this whole earth and heaven separation thing. But in another way of looking at it, that's what created your ego. The opposites. Because everything was together, and then you started to experience things that were different, and you had to decide whether you liked it or you didn't like it. And so you created your own bubble of existence. And you start processing and relating things to this bubble that you created. So the ego is what keeps everything apart. Okay, and the ego must push apart things in the beginning, because that which is pushing against it. Okay, hold on, I said that wrong. Okay, the ego has to push things apart because things are pushing against it. So the ego needs a space for its own existence. So the ego must define itself as something different from its environment, or else it wouldn't exist. Now, in the initial ego development begins by saying you are this and not that, etc., etc., about everything that kind of comes into your world. Now, the things that you are not, the things that you don't like, go into what is called your shadow, your dark portion. This is like your hell. Okay? So, and for the longest time, you live this way of like and don't like and don't like and don't like. But if you're going to evolve yourself, especially consciously, you got to revisit your shadow and the things that you don't like, and you got to bring it into reality, and you got to be, and you have to experience, you have to research it, practice it, experience it for yourself. And then once that happens, you can officially say, hey, yeah, I don't like this, and I don't like that. But I love this, why did I miss out on this? Because you kept it from yourself all this time. So later on in life, you'll start to have these confrontations with the things that you don't like. It's kind of like, and in some ways it's also projecting, because, and this is where it comes key into controlling your thoughts and the way that you think, because everything that you think is put into the collective unconsciousness, and you just never know what anybody else is thinking, and so the more thoughts to certain things will create that reality whether you want it to or not. And hate and love are both features of creation. The things that you hate can be created, and things that you love can be created. I would more focus on the things that I love being created than the things that I hate being created. And this also, brings into the whole thing about, one of the things that, kind of, I always wonder about people, just because, I don't know, maybe because I was doing this at such a young age. I was doing this. The things that I'm reading to you, I started doing, or the things that I'm talking about and reading, I started doing them when I was about 17, 18 years old, and this was actually without, reading any of this thing at the moment. I hadn't read Carl Jung until I was about, 21, 22. It's just, we spend so much time trying to perfect the outside world that we forget about ourselves. And it's hard to perfect the outside world when you haven't even worked on yourself. And so, even though we take time to do things in the external world, we need to start doing things in the internal world as well. Because just because you fix the outside world does not necessarily mean that oh man, everything's gonna be perfect and great. Yeah, you wish that. That's why so many things that are written that seem perfect end up screwing up, because people want power, they want money, they want greed. And that is all because of the ego. Alright, well, I feel like I've talked pretty good about this, so I hope everybody enjoys it. You know, I know that I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Open Diary, Prozbach, and YouTube. You know, you don't necessarily have to come to YouTube to comment about this or to like it or anything. But if you have any questions about anything I said, or want to discuss certain things about yourself that, you know, revolve around this issue, or you're trying to understand this a little bit more, don't be afraid to talk about it. I'm cool. I'm a pretty laid back person. So anyways, I hope everyone has a wonderful day. I'm going to be going to Austin here soon. That's why I'm doing this early. But normally it'll be on Thursdays. And then, at least on YouTube, it'll be on Thursdays. And depending on how busy I am with school and novel writing and everything else, it'll get to the other social media sites. But today I'm going to send it out directly to all of them right now. So, anyways, peace. Have a good one. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.